Welcome back, I'm Linda. I finished up a super easy seascape. It's only 4 colors: Prussian blue, phthalo blue, white, and a touch of black. So it's going to be pretty simple. Got a beautiful sky here, lots of billowy clouds, a nice little soft surf. I think this one, Midnight Calm, might be the name of this one. So I want you to get your paints out, get ready. So let's get started. So here are the oil paints I used: liquid white, titanium white, lamp black, phthalo blue, Prussian blue, and crimson. So I'm taking my a clean, dry, I've got a 16 by 20 canvas, and I'm gonna liquid white all over. Just a nice thin coat. Just get it all over, and after that I took a little piece of shop towel rag and wiped all the excess oil off, because you don't want it real super slippery. Okay, so I'm going into Prussian blue and a little bit of crimson with just maybe a touch of black. But it's a really dark blue. I want the top part of the sky very dark. So I'm just doing little X strokes. Staying with the same color. Just gonna go across. And then on both ends, I'm going to have some dark areas there for clouds. Just little X strokes. I'll be taking a 1 inch and blending that out really well. So I'm using a fairly large fan brush, taking it into some titanium white and a little bit of phthalo blue. I'm going to go right in the center, do little circles in there, and gradually blend the edges in with that dark area. Then after that, I'll take a nice 1 inch dry and just blend it all, buff it out. But I want these light dark colors to give a nice little contrast there. Going into more white, adding on the bottom section there. Now I'm buffing, I'm just blending it in now with a clean, soft, and I do dot it out, blot my brush out so I take the excess oil off. I go back in and just do circles, just carefully blending in that sky. Tapping out the excess, going back in there. The white from the liquid white will pick up there, so that's good. But I need to put a little bit more white on my brush, so when I want to have lighter areas. So I'm putting a lighter area in the middle. I think originally I was going to have my moonlight in the center, but you'll see I changed that to more down, near closer to the horizon line. But it was an easy one to correct, so titanium white, a little bit of phthalo, little darker phthalo, just different shades of blue in there. The Prussian is a very strong color, but phthalo is a little bit, powdery blue. And you see, I took a little break and I put a shop towel right over that dark area in the corner. That took off the excess oil for me. So I'm going into a little bit of the Prussian and white and making a real nice soft. And I'm making the horizon line about 7.5 inches from bottom up. I'm just going to do a straight line there to give me a guideline. The same brush, I'm going to start brushing in the sides of the ocean. Leave that center part there for the moonlight to go. So I've got a pretty good sized fan brush there. I think it's a number 12, but boy, they're handy. Those big old fan brushes put out a lot of paint. So I'm just extending my line there as I go, and then leaving the center area open. Putting in the same color, very light blue there. And I'll just go on to the sides too, and I'll just do a real thin coat of light blue. And on the left, I'll keep going up, but leave that little white area in the middle. That's where your highlight, your moonlight is going to shine. So back into a little bit of Prussian and crimson, same color as those two dark areas in the sky. And I'm gonna put a little, I don't know if you call it a mountain or not, but it's a side hill there, right above the horizon. And then I'm taking a small fan brush, I'm dipping in a little bit of white and just catching a little bit of that hillside color, and it'll turn out a really nice light gray, bluish gray. So I'm just creating some clouds there, leaving the center open because that's going to be where the brightest light is going to be in there. Working the clouds on both sides, staying pretty much with the lighter blue. Because I'll go back in and I'll add some darker clouds and light clouds. For now, I want to make sure I've got some of that blue in the background. Small brush, circular motion, soft. I think that's a little mop brush I'm using there. And with a fan brush, a little one, I'm going to take that same color, deep bluish lavender. I'm going to create another hillside, a little bigger on this side though. And I'm just, with the corner, I'm just kind of doing little circles in there, filling it in. Making sure the line underneath where the hillside meets the water is nice and um, crisp. Okay, so I've got a small brush. I'm putting some powder blue, that light blue, and I'm creating a line between those mountains or hills. You can use your finger too if you want to smooth that out. Okay, so I'm going up, kind of jump around a little bit, but I'm going up with that same dark blue, little trims in there in Prussian. I'm just doing little circular motions, creating an extra cloud there. Tapping that brush out and then going up and softening the edges. And making a little darker area underneath that. Kind of the other side I'll balance that out. But I'm just putting some cloud movement up there. Some darker and lighter areas. Just buffing buffing those out, smoothing them out. I'm looking at a picture, just kind of getting a good idea. I change it a lot though. I'm not real. Sometimes I go back and I change it. And you can do the same. You make it your own. I'm stretching the clouds up more into the center, but I'm still smoothing it out. I'm not too happy with it just yet, but just buffing it out with a nice little mop brush is very soft, and that helps. I wasn't sure if I wanted thunder clouds up there or not. I I end up softening that up quite a bit, putting a little darker side on the other side, kind of balance it out a little bit, softening the edges. Still softening. I've got the larger fan brush, the corner. I'm still softening that up. I think that is a number 12. Dipping into a little bit of thinner and then into the titanium white. I don't want it real thick paint there. Just tipping on the edges of that brush. Doing circular motions and going back into that dark area, breaking that up just a little bit. It was a little too dark there for me. And then with a clean dry brush, I'm just gonna buff that out, soften it up. Just little circular motions. I've got a couple of fan brushes I use, same size. And it's nice to be able to switch, one color on one. And so here I'm going into a little medium blue. I'm going over that kind of a white area there on the right. I'm gonna buff that bottom of that cloud out. So I've got a couple brushes going at the same time here. But I'm just buffing the bottom of that cloud line. Going up in the middle area, gonna add some clouds up there. Same thing, buffing the bottom edge. I'm gonna work on the center of the horizon there. I'm gonna use my finger and put some titanium white on that. Just do a small circle. Doesn't have to be very big. That's big enough for to see. You can be able to see that it's the moonlight hitting there. Okay, so I'm going into a little bit of the Prussian and crimson, same color as the little hill there. I'm gonna go right underneath. I'm gonna leave the white area there, shoreline area. I'm gonna leave that open. Don't just be ever so carefully, just leave a little white line there. That's the shoreline underneath that hill. And bring some of the shadow down. And do the same on the other side. Just underneath, leave some of that shoreline exposed. And then just brush in shadow, and it's going to turn it darker. It's going to be darker as you move forward. But I'm going into white now. And I'm going to go underneath that. It's going to be a real pale, real light blue. There it is. I'm using my brush sideways, and that works good. I'm going up about 4.5 inches from the bottom. That's where oh, the shoreline is going to end. Starts at the bottom and it goes back into the water, and that's about where it's going to stop. So you start making your little dividing line there for darker colors. And I'm going to go across in the middle with that lighter blue, and I did on the sides there. I'm going to go across the center, very, very light blue, because I'm going to have some sparklies, sparkles in the water, and I want them that white to show up. So I'm going to add a little blue in there. And you can make your ocean however you want. I'm looking at a picture, and I'm kind of making it up as I go along here. I'm going in Prussian and a little white and a little bit of crimson, a little darker color. And I'm going to start making, I've got a little script liner, real small one. And I'm going to start making some real tiny little water lines in the way in the distance there. Got to have a little water movement going on. And I just kind of squiggle a few of those lines in the water. Just shows that the water is moving. It's fairly calm. The calm picture. So wherever you think, add some water lines. Bringing some of that darker water just a little bit into that lighter area. Not too far though. Okay, I've got an old gnarly looking fan brush that lost a lot of its bristles. I tell you, this little brush makes the nicest little oh, sparklies in the water. You see, I brushed it in, take titanium white, and the titanium white is mixed with a little bit of liquid white. It makes really not soupy, more ink-like, but once you tap that little brush, that little gnarly little brush with the bristles into the blue, it creates little dots, little uh, water movements going on. They look like little sparklies, you know, light hitting the water. And if it's mess up, like I just did right there, I'm going to take a clean, dry, little flat brush, and I'm just going to go over it real lightly. See? I fixed it. So it's no big deal. I go back into titanium with a little bit of liquid white. You can see it there on my palette. I've got it a little bit on one side, and I just tap that in after I dip in my titanium. And you'll start to see these sparkles in the water. Just tapping. You can drag. If you get too much, just take your little brush and you can fix them. Okay, so now I'm going to into Prussian white. I'm making that medium blue again. And I'm going to start bringing it downward into the shoreline. Got a little white on my, it's a flat brush, about a half inch, 3/4 flat brush. That's kind of a handy brush to have too. It makes nice, clean straight lines. So I'm going to start brushing in, going toward the bottom, and I'm going to leave an open area in the middle, just a little bit, because it's going to be lighter there. The light is going to be reflecting in the center. In the meantime, I'm back at the waves. I've got a little that white titanium and liquid white on the end of my little small fan brush. Do a little circular motion just for the corner, and I'm creating some rushing wave back there. Not a big one, but just enough to show that there is a little bit of activity going on there. The water's coming in. All right, if you're happy with that, you can move on to the left corner. I took a little Prussian with a little bit of that darker crimson and even a touch of black in there, just a touch. That area, those corners are going to mimic the darkness from the dark cloud way on the top. It's the shadow from the cloud. So I'm going to put that down, and that is sand. Supposedly it's a sandy area, but it's also where the water's coming in. And I'm shaping some of the angles of water rushing in. Staying with that same color, and I'm brushing downward, like it might be a little knoll there, a sandy knoll, and the water's coming down off of that. But I'm keeping the corners fairly dark, just like that cloud way on top. Because you're getting the shadow from the cloud. And I'll add a little bit of white in there, mixed. I'm going with a little lighter blue, trying to keep my angles way the water is going to rush in there. It's not straight across. It's kind of angling toward the corner more. So now I've got a line there where there's going to be the shoreline. Foamies are going to be there. That little white line back into that dark blue, crimson, and Prussian. And I'm going to start making some dark waters on the far edge there, corner of that painting. Just here and there. It's not going to be solid because there's going to be some blue and lighter blue in there. Just here and there, I'm going to make some darker areas. And there's going to be light coming through in the very center, bottom center. The light reflections from the light way in the distance is hitting that. So we're going to keep that center area fairly light. And I'll dot them with little tiny rocks, with a liner brush, with very dark blue, a little bit of black, and I'll dot some rocks in there, tiny rocks, and then I'll tip them. I'll tip them with a little white, as if the sunlight is reflecting off the little rocks. Can't see them now, but you will in just a little bit. Now on the right side, and also there's another dark cloud way in the top corner. And so that's a reflection from that dark area. Keeping the edges fairly dark, adding more phthalo or Prussian blue, and keeping the angles of how the water is flowing in there. I will take a different brush and I'll show you how I flick upward. Well, I've got a little mop brush there. And I'm just going to soften. I'm going to soften that area up, just barely touching it, and dotting the excess paint off on my napkin there. See, I'm just softening that area up. I'm brushing kind of upward toward the way the waves are coming in. Back with a flat, pretty good sized flat brush into the light blue, medium blue, and gradually tipping it in my white, creating some water. It's rushing off that little hill there, a little incline there. The wave is coming in and the water's flowing in. Putting a little darker area underneath that wave accentuates the white wave. Okay, I'm brushing up now in the center. That's the light area, or the reflections from the light. Brushing upward. And going the other angle, going upward and crossways. I guess, it's just a matter of blending it. There, it's just kind of going upward at an angle. Gives you depth. Like, I think that's what helps give you depth. Softening with a little mop brush. Okay, I've got a palette knife. I'm going to start making some wave lines in there with a little roll on the end of that palette knife, just holding it fairly level and straight across. Keep the blade real straight, and gently, hardly any pressure. You can create some really cool, just like on the mountainside, making your shadows and highlights. Same deal, only I'm going sideways. Sideways with the blade to keep the line straight. And I do wipe it off every time I lift up because it is picking up some of that blue. And I want to make sure it's nice and white, stays white. If you don't have enough, put a little more on there. If you don't, you'll be able to tell right away because you won't get anything off. You have to put a fairly good sized little roll on it. Not a gob, but just a nice little roll. And there are different angles in this water rushing. They're all not, it's all different. It's not straight across. See, now I'm creating my wave coming in. Just squiggling out along where I want that to end. Bringing some more little ones on the side. And you can put as many as you want, but you can make these little splashy water lines with it too. So I'm going to take a little fan brush, little one. I'm just going to pull back some of that excess white on the top of that wave. Just pull it back a little bit. And it will look like the water will follow through. It makes the water look like it's moving. Okay, you can see I started to add some more lines in my shoreline, and I'm still adding foamies on the top. I've got the little rocks in there with the little black dots, and I've got my it's a little precision tip applicator. It's made by Freehand, and I got it off of Amazon. It's a handy little plastic bottle with a little metal tip, and it really I've got some liquid white and a little titanium in there. I shook it up really good so it flows through that little tip, and it makes the nicest little water runoff. And I go back and use my script brush too. But that little applicator is kind of handy sometimes. I find I use it more and more all the time. And you can make little dots for rocks with that too. I really love this painting. I think we almost got a finished one coming up here. Putting some extra dark shadows under those waves, the darker blue. I really love doing this one, and I hope you do too. So until next time, happy painting and God bless.